Hello everybody and welcome to DIY Assembly. And in this video I'm going to show you step by step in quite a lot of detail how to assemble this amazing looking Christmas ball from wood trick. And to be honest, I'm not too sure why they decided to call it a Christmas ball, because to me it clearly looks like a Christmas bauble, but never mind, I'm going to keep calling it a Christmas ball. And no messing about, let's jump straight in. So this kit comes with 4 wooden sheets. It does also include a little wee tool that you can use to help you push out all the pieces, and trust me, you will need it especially for the tiny little pieces. It does come also with some spare parts, and there is just enough, I would say. And it does come also with 2 rubber bands and a small bit of wax, and that is more than enough. And for some reason, just by looking at the box, I kind of expected it to not come with sandpaper, so bring your own. And I would kind of suggest you to use 120 sandpaper. Okay, so first things first. What you need to do is pop out this little tool that you can find on the wooden sheet number 1 right at the bottom, or as we call it, a little key, because you will definitely need it. This will help you to push out the tiny little pieces, and trust me, you will definitely need it. Now we move on to wooden sheet number 1 again, and we pop out this little snowflake. And just to let you know, this is the only snowflake you're gonna find in this kit that has a line right in the middle, so do not mix it up. Then we go to wooden sheet number 2 and we pop out these snowflakes. See those? Nice and pretty. So we need 5 of those, and you're gonna also find this on the same wooden sheet. And then we move on to wooden sheet number 3 and we pop out these connections. So you need 5 of these, so they're the longer ones, and you need 4 of these small ones. And just to remind you everybody, please make sure you sand all the connections, because you want everything to be smooth. See that? This is that connection. See where that white line is, and it's the same on the other side, like here at the end, and then it's the same on the inside. So make sure you sand them all just a little bit. That's all you need, just a little bit. And also the snowflakes, because you don't want anything to be sticking out like a thorn, basically, you know. So throughout the whole kit, make sure you sand everything. You do not need to wax anything just yet. That comes right to the end, so leave the wax out, just sanding. Okay, and now we move on to this first snowflake with that line in the middle. We grab this little thing and we need to pop it through here, through the bottom, because we want to keep these nice patterns on the top, you see. And another thing is, see when you turn it, there's this hole at the end. That is where this little thing is gonna go. So make sure you line it up, so basically like this. There you go, because you don't want to do it the other way, because then you will definitely break this little wee piece, you see. And then once you're gonna hang the ball, it might weaken it and it might just fall and break. So let's go ahead and pop it in, and you're gonna hear a little click. Sort of a click, but you are gonna hear things, trust me. And as you can see, it's nice and flush, exactly what you need. Then we go ahead and we grab 4 of these little connections, and we just go around on the inside, on the plain side, not on the other side where the pattern is, and we pop these little things in. There you go, nice and flush, and we do exactly the same thing with the rest of them. There we are. So this is how it should look like, and make sure again everything is nice and flush and popped in just nicely and snugly, shall I say. Now we move on to the other 5 snowflakes, and you can pick any hole from them, literally any hole you fancy, and we just pop it through one of these legs, and we just do the same for the rest of the legs, connections. You can call it however you fancy. I'm gonna call it connections or legs, doesn't matter. Okay, so we just push it in. You're gonna hear a small little wee noise, and remember, it has to be nice and tight and flush. Same thing. And as I said, you do exactly the same thing again and again. I cannot remind you enough of making sure that the pattern stays on the top. And also be very careful with the snowflakes, with the actual sides. See these sides? They are tiny and you could break them so easily. So be very gentle. So there we are. This is how we should look like a little wee hat or something. And look at that, that looks so cool so far. Now we grab the big pieces, connections, legs, however you want to call it. And what we're going to do is we're basically going to create a small triangle like that. So the piece, the hole that's next to this on this side, that's where it's going to go. That's where our first connection's going. And this little hole, that's where the other connection's going. And that's how we're going to create that triangle looking thing, you see. There we go. See that? And we do exactly the same thing with the other snowflakes. It's as simple as that. And there we are. Look at this. It's starting to kind of resemble the shape of a star, but this is what you want. Basically, triangles all around it. And look at that shape. That is cool. Okay, now on to the next thing. Okay, so next what we need is 5 of these stars. As you can see, we used one of these for the top, but this time, as you can see, they do not have a line through them like that top one. As I mentioned, you will not see that again. That's why you should not mix it up, whatever you do. So this comes from wooden sheet number 1. Now we need these 5 snowflakes from wooden sheet number 2. Now what we need is these long pieces again. So we need 10 of these. And then we've also got these small connections. And we have got, oh, that's the long connections there. And shorter connections, and we need 15 of those. And I don't think I mentioned, but sorry, it might be slightly late, but I'm pretty sure you figured out yourself that you definitely need to use this little tool to push out these little connections. You don't need this tool for all the snowflakes because you can just push them out with the finger with ease, but you definitely need this tool for these little things. And there will be a couple more little things coming up, but that's the only things really you need it for. Okay, now, first things first. Let's go on to the nice looking snowflakes and use these longer connections. So, again, make sure the pattern stays to the top and the connection goes at the bottom on the plain side. And what we're going to do is we're just going to pick any hole you fancy, apart from the middle one, of course, and just pop this leg in. There we go. And now we're going to pick any hole on either side of this connection and pop another one in. So it doesn't matter which side you pick, left or right. So let's go ahead and do that. And remember, nice and flush, and make sure everything is sanded. You want it to be nice and smooth. So this is how it should look like, and we need to do exactly the same thing for the rest of the 4 of them. So let's go ahead and do that. Okay, so here we are. We have got 5 of these. Look, kind of looks like a cartoon type of thing, like a little man, you know, but, well, it's kind of arms, you know. Oh, look at this. One of them popped out. Obviously wasn't in there tight enough. That's what I keep saying. Make sure it's nice and tight. And if you do break any of these little connections, you do have spares, so don't worry about it. Okay, so we've got 5 of those. And yeah, as I mentioned, looks like a little person or something, doesn't it? Look at that. It's pretty cool. Anyways, right, on to the next part. So we grab this snowflake and this tiny leg, and we basically do exactly the same thing we just did with the bigger ones, but this time we need 3 small legs for the back. Make sure you keep the nice patterns up the front and the little connections go at the back on the plain side all the time. Okay, so first one in, second one in, and another one right next to it. There we are. So this is how it should look like. And we need 5 of those. Make sure it's nice and flush, everything's sanded, you do not need wax. And let's, again, do exactly the same thing for the rest of them. Okay, here we are. So, we've got 5 of these and we've got 5 of these. And now what we need to do is we need to grab the first 5 and this nice top. And all we have to do is connect them like this. There we go. We're basically creating another triangle on the inside. See, as soon as you kind of even just lay it on there, you can see exactly what's going to happen and where it's going to go. It kind of automatically gives you the holes that you need to pop it in. And if it does feel a bit tight, we just have to do is kind of push it out just slightly, just a little bit, and then it'll just pop in there. But remember, make sure you do not put too much pressure on these little things, because you will definitely break them, because it's very easily done. Okay, let's go ahead and pop the first one in and the second one. And this is how it should look like that. Oh, nearly looks like a Christmas tree. Ha, that's pretty cool. Okay, and now we do exactly the same thing for the rest of them. Okay, there we go. Just like that. Let's do that. There we go. Look at that. That looks like an amazing little pokey star, and that is the top, like a little hat as well. But yeah, that is cool. So if you made it this far, well done, guys. And to continue now with these ones, the little man with 3 legs, I'm gonna call it, I know it sounds very silly, we just turn the little hat or star, however you want to call it, you know. And again, as you can see, we do this and it kind of just lines up perfectly for you already. So this is what we're going to do. We're just going to line it up, push it all in. See that? You might have to push the star out a little bit and it will just kind of sneak in there. There we go. Make sure everything's nice and flush, you know. And again, make sure you do the sanding properly, because you need it. You want it all to be nice and smooth. Okay, and we just go around it and do exactly the same thing. See that one, how it's kind of a little bit far from the hole? Literally just move the star a little bit and then we pop it in. As easy as that, but obviously be gentle. Okay, and now we do the rest with these 3 snowflakes. And there we are. As you can see that, it's definitely shaping into an amazing looking ball. And look at the inside, that's so cool. It's like half a dome, you know? Very cool. Okay, let's move on. So now we need 10 of these long connections from the wooden sheet number 4. What we do is we turn it upside down, this little half dome, so far I'm gonna call it, and we pick this like pokey looking snowflake. Not this little one, but the pokey one. See that nice looking one? And this is where we put these long connections. So there's only 2 holes left, as you can see, and we literally just have to use them both. And this is how we pop it in. There we go, that's one in. Hear that noise? That's what you want to hear. And there you go. This is what we want to see. And you just go around and do it again for this one, that one, this one, and that one. Only the pokey ones. Don't do it on these not pokey ones, however you want to call them. Okay, let's go and do that. Okay, here we go. So this is how it should look like. As you can see, all of those long connections are only in that pokey looking snowflake. Perfect. Okay, so we go to wooden sheet number 4. We take out this piece. We take out the small connections, links, however you want to call them. Exactly the same sheet again, wooden sheet number 4. And we need 10 of those. Then we go to wooden sheet number 2. Take out 2 of these, the weird looking pieces, but trust me, they'll come in handy. and this little guy right here. So this comes out as one thing, but you actually just have to split it. It splits into two pieces. Okay, right. First things first, we grab these two pieces and we need to wax them. This is literally the only thing you need to wax in this entire kit. So see the bottom part of it, where there's lines, you don't need to wax that part. There's no point, trust me. You need to wax only the rest of it. Okay, understood. Let's go ahead and do that. And I usually tend to kind of over wax wooden kits because I want to make sure it's got more than enough wax in it. So it's basically just effective, you know, that's what you want. And you've got plenty of wax, so just rub plenty of it and just kind of clean off the excess. And that's it. Okay, give it a little wee, not a bash, but kind of just drop it to get rid of wee little loose bits of the wax. Get it off your worktop, you know, keep it nice and tidy. And again, don't forget to sand everything. I cannot stop reminding you of sanding because it's very important, trust me. Right, now we move on to this circle. In the instructions, this is second step after the first step that's supposed to be before this, but it doesn't matter which way you do it. So what we do is we need to make sure that this Woodtrick logo, woodtrick.com, is at the top, okay? It's the first thing. Then this has to go in like this. See that? Like this. And make sure you push it right through because you can see where it kind of has to stop, where there's a cut-off point. So, Woodtrick to the top, and this kind of leaning backwards. And push it right in. There we are, just like that, and you will hear the clicking weird noise, and this is how it should look like, okay? We do exactly the same for the other one. There we are. Perfect, that's exactly what we need. So now we can set that aside and we can grab our ball. So this is the step that it shows you in the instructions, but it literally does not matter which way you do it. So with these little connections, we do exactly the same thing what we did with these longer connections, but this time we're putting them in that smaller snowflake next to it. So it's literally very easy because you've only got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 left, and that's the way we've got 10 connections. So you literally can't go wrong with it. But let me just quickly show you. There we are, that's the 2 legs in. And that's how it should look like. And we just go all around that dome hat, however you want to call it, around, and just pop them all in. So let's go ahead and do that. Okay, there we are, but I'm not sure if you noticed, but one of these long legs popped out somehow at the same time. It doesn't feel that tight in there, but I'm going to leave it in there for now to see how it gets on. And there we are. This is how it should look like. So just remember, shorter connections in the smaller snowflake, longer connections in the pokier, bigger snowflake. There we are. Easy. Nice. And just before I forget, when you go back to this round circle, well, the middle part of the ball, see the bottom of these little pieces, see that little hole? This is where that, remember how we popped out this one piece, but it's actually 2 pieces. So once you pull it apart, give it a little sanding, we pop this in from this side, so from the inside of both sides, and we just push it in to keep it in place, just like that. There we go, and you're going to hear a little noise. That one's a little bit loose. That's okay, there we go. Pushed up a little bit and it kind of tightened up. There we are. That's how you pop those in. Nice. Right, this is where it could come in a little bit tricky for some people, so make sure you pay attention. So this now goes on top of this, yeah? But you need to pay attention to this little thing here. See that? See where it starts? So it's basically where that dot is. Woodtrick dot. So put your finger on there basically, locate this pokey snowflake, and on the left hand side of it, this is where that piece is going to go. Does that make sense? See these two legs? It goes literally on the left of them, like that. And another piece is gonna come in a second to connect it basically. See that? That's how it should look like, okay? So you need to pay attention. And this is the piece that I'm talking about, right here. So this comes from the wooden sheet number 1. You only need one of them. And as you can see, you will notice differences as you go on. So see that brown top corner? Oh, trying to get that zoom in. Oh, there we go, focus, sorry. See that brown corner on the top, right there? So that's where you're gonna have to pay attention to, because there will be differences between these pieces and you do not want to get it wrong. Right, going back to this piece, so again, keep that where that dot is, that side on the left hand side of the star and these two legs. And then this piece literally just goes here. So what I would do first is, if I was you, make sure the pattern is on the outside again and pop this on here first. Like that, see that? And it just kind of holds into place, nice and tight. So now we go to that snowflake, see that big one right there? And these two legs will go through these holes that are here. Nice and easy. You do not want to break it because your fingers are gonna have to go on the inside of the ball. So you have to be very careful. Did you hear that like cracking noise? That's good, because that little leg was kind of getting pushed right in there. And if you need to, you can always grab your little tool and just give the leg a little wee push. And when you're holding this piece, do not hold on this side or on that side, because you will break those pieces if you put too much pressure on them. Trust me. Okay, if you got this far, excellent. Okay, so now we go back to wooden sheet number 1 and we pop out these pieces. There should be 9 of them, and they might look exactly the same, but trust me, they are not, and you need to pay attention to them. So, see, look at this piece. So it's basically exactly the same one as the first one as I showed you. So as you can see, waiting for the focus there, see that brown thingy right at that top there? So what I would advise you highly to do is to keep that to the left hand side, because when you look at this piece, see that? The brown thingy is on the right hand side, like right to the top. So that's how you can tell the difference between them. See that? They're totally different pieces really. They're kind of mirrored basically. So what I would do if I was you is split them into 2 groups so you do not mix them up. So a brown pointy thingy on the left hand side, so that goes on the left. It's a right one, left, right, left, right. There we go. So we got 5 of these ones where the brown thingy is on the top right, and we got 4 of these ones where the brown thingy is on the top left side. So push those on the side. Now we go back to the beautiful Christmas ball, and what we want to do is choose the one from the right hand side where the brown thingy is on the top right, okay, as you can see there. And this is how it's going to go in. It's going to go in exactly as the first one. So what I like to do now though is to make sure that those 2 legs that are there go in this piece first. But obviously be careful when you're holding that ball, because you don't want to break anything. So let's pop those in first. There we go. Hear that little crunch? That's exactly what you want to hear. Oh, and I just pushed on the side of this and I could kind of feel a little bend, but there was no cracks or anything. So remember, be very careful. Don't use too much force. Okay. Hear that little wee click? There we go. Oh, look at this. A little wee legs popped out from somewhere. Aha, I can see it. It's from the piece right next to it. So that's my second quite loose piece, I think. Let me just get that back in there. Okay, that's that back in. Perfect. Right. So see how this front looks like now. So it kind of goes like this, like up like that, like kind of half a circle, and this one goes that way. And that's exactly what you got to do throughout the whole ball. So now we move on to this side. You're going to have to make sure that for the left hand side you use this one, where the brown thingy is on the top left corner. So that goes here on this side. Oh, nope, sorry, on the right side. And then the one from the right hand side goes on the left. Nearly confused myself there. Probably should have done it the other way around there. This put it on the right. That goes on the right and that goes on the left. But either way, you're going to come up with something else that might help yourself, you see. But that is the best thing I can give you. You definitely have to split them up. So we go and pick up the one from the left. So from my point of view, it goes on the right hand side of the ball, of the two leggies. So I'm popping it in the two tiny legs first. As you can see, it's popped in the tiny wee legs and the top is still loose. So now I'm going to pop the top in. There you go. That just makes it much easier. Now I go to my right hand side pile and I put it on my left hand side of the ball. I know that might sound a little bit confusing, but pretty sure you understand what I mean. Okay, more clicks. Perfect. That's exactly what you want to hear. And then the top. Excellent. So see, this is the first thing that we did. See how that looks like? Then we move on to the one next to it and it looks exactly the same. Again, kind of like going that way, the right hand side, and the left hand side going that way. That's what you want. And now let's just do exactly the same thing to finish off the first half of the ball. Okay, here we go. You do need to be very careful when you go through this because it will be so easy to break those tiny little leg connections or long legs, however you want to call them, because it doesn't really matter when you're attaching these pieces because they're all fragile. And this is how your first half of the ball should look like. Nice and easy. Look at that. Amazing. And this part is your actual lid. Okay, the one thing I'm going to tell you right now is that to finish off the other half of the ball, you literally have to follow the exactly same instructions I've just given you to finish off this first half of the ball, so the lid. But there is a bit of a difference, especially when you start. Let me show you. So the difference, remember at the start, this little wee snowflake, I had a line in the middle and this doesn't. That's why you cannot mix it up, because this is the lid. If that was at the bottom of the ball, then it would be upside down basically, and that's exactly what you don't want. So make sure you get the right star, and this time you will not have this little top hook, however you want to call it, for your little wee thread to go through and hang it on the tree or wherever you want, because we don't need it at the bottom. And this time, instead of having your little legs like these little connections, you don't need to put 4 in here. You need 5 this time, because one of them replaces this. See, when you look inside of the ball, that's that long connection right there, you see? And that's what we're not going to have this time, because this is the bottom part. So let me quickly show you again. We literally just go around it. Make sure the pattern stays on the top and the little connections go at the bottom on the plain side. And it's nice and snug and everything's sanded. And you do not need to wax anything anymore, just to let you know. There you go. Just a little wee spider, and from now on, you literally follow exactly the same instructions I gave you when we were assembling this top half of the ball. Okay, now I'm gonna time lapse it until I get to the middle part, because there is just a slight difference, you see, and I'll better show you in case you get something wrong, you know. I don't want to get the blame. No, I'm only joking. Anyways, let's go ahead and assemble the bottom part of the ball. Okay, that's our first part done. Nice. And remember, you do not want to mix these snowflakes up with these pokey ones. That is literally what you do not want to do. Okay, right, let's continue. There we are. Looking good so far. Okay, and here we go. Literally, basically exactly the same dome as the actual lid. Literally exactly the same apart from that top. That makes a big difference, you see? Okay, on to the next part. Now we go onto the wooden sheet number 3 and we get this. Then we go to the wooden sheet number 2 and we get this little bad boy. And make sure you sand everything. Again, I cannot stop stressing that because you need to get it done. Okay, now make sure that you keep this woodtrick logo on the top. Then you take this little wee piece and that goes here. See that hole? But it comes through the bottom. Make sure woodtrick on the top and this comes in through the bottom. But that little hook, see there's a, oh. See there's a little hook at the end. That has to face outwards. So that way, not on the inside. This way. So we just push it through from the bottom. Nice and gentle. Do not put too much pressure on it because you do not want to break that, because there isn't a spare part for this big ring, you see. Nice and gentle. There we go. You can hear a little wee click. And that's it. See how the little hook, trying to waiting for the focus to kick in, but you can see that the hook is facing outwards, and that's exactly what you want. Okay, perfect. If you got this far, well done, guys. Okay, now we're on to wooden sheet number 1 and we take this piece. You recognize this, don't you? This is the piece that went all around this top ball. But there's a bit of a difference. As you can see, it actually says push on it. So you need to make sure that goes in first on the actual bottom of the ball, because you don't want it to be anywhere else. It's just there kind of for the looks, because I don't think it's actually gonna work as like a button, because there aren't really mechanical moving parts in the skit. But let's go ahead and do that. So we pick up this ring, and remember what I said before, we keep this pointy snowflake on the right hand side, and see this little wee thing, it's right next to this latch, so you want to keep that on the left hand side, on the outside of these 2 legs. See that? You want to keep it on the outside. And then this will go on the top. And again, what we can do here is we can attach it to this ring first. There we go, just like that. Then we pop it on. See that? I nearly chose this side and I saw that flake. I'm like, nope, that's not the big one. So big one has to be on the right. Okay, and now let's push it in. Be very careful. You do not want to break anything because it is a little bit fiddly sometimes. All right. See? Be very gentle, and don't forget you've got that little tool if you want to use it as well, because I will definitely use it just now. And just push those legs in. And there we are. See? It's not falling off. This is exactly what you want to do. And see that push button? It's right in front of that little latch, but yeah, it's definitely not going to work like a button, as I said, because there aren't any moving mechanical parts. And now what we need to do is we need to grab these pieces and again split them into two groups so you do not put them in wrong, because otherwise once this has been assembled and you put it together and close it, it's not gonna close properly, because like as an example, this piece could go on top of this like that, you see what I mean, and that is not gonna click into place. You want it like that basically, see that? But this is the wrong piece, of course, and it will just click in like that. Okay, let's split these apart and do exactly the same thing that we did for the top half of the ball. Let's go. And there we go. As we look around, it looks exactly the same as the top part of the ball. And remember, let's go back to the middle, how we started. So this part, it kind of leans that way. The top part, you see? And then this top part, it leans that way. So that's what you need to imagine, like whoosh, that way, then onto the next one again, whoosh, kind of spreads out, you see? And if you follow that, you will do just fine. Excellent. And now all that's left to do is literally to join them up. See these two legs, I'm gonna call them, and these two holes here. It literally just goes over like that. So once you pop it in, you need to make sure you push it in a little bit, because there's these two little leggies. So see that when it goes in, waiting for the focus again, you'd push it in. So let's go ahead and do that. There we go, see that? You could even hear a little click. And now it's going to become a little bit fiddly, because you've got to go to the wooden sheet number 2 and take out these little pieces. Don't forget to give them just a quick little sand. Obviously don't go overboard with that sanding. And then these have to go in through the bottom right here. Yeah, see that gap there on those two sides now? So that gap has to be covered with these two little thingies. And it's going to be a little bit tricky, because you're kind of going to have to stick your whole hand in it to get it in place nice and neat. Got to be gentle, because you do not want to break anything or put any pressure on anything. So that's my first piece in. Now on to the second one. Whoa. Doesn't help if you've got pretty big hands, you know. Anyways, we're getting there. Come on. Yes. There we go. They are in. So, let's see. See that? You can see it right there and right there. Kind of the black line marks. So that means it's in place. And as I mentioned already, that push button, even though it says push on it, nothing happens. It's not mechanical, you see, but look at that. That is cool. And now what we've got to do is close it. Let's close it up. And there is, oh, see that? Nice little click. And look at that. That is pretty neat. So cool. This is gonna look amazing on a tree or as a gift to anyone. And now what we've got to do is we got those rubber bands, this, to actually put through this little hole and hang it wherever we want. But why would we get this? That's the one part that really kind of bugs me. So instead of using that rubber, because I definitely don't use rubber to hang up anywhere, I've got my own little Christmassy thing. And this is what I've got. There you go. I know this is for like wrapping presents and stuff, but because it's quite nice and wide, I think it's gonna suit this ball, because if you use something super thin, I think it would look slightly odd, but obviously you can use whatever you want. And I think there's one thing I noticed already about this ball, but I'm gonna show you that in just a second. Right, let me just get that through. And you don't even need to tie it or anything, you know. Obviously you do need to tie it at the top, but not at the bottom. That is just perfectly fine. Right, just be a wee second. There you go. See a little wee thingy, that's what you do on top of presents as well, you know. And you can just hang that. I think that looks much better because of the size of the actual ball. And not a little thing, but as I said, it's up to you what you want to do. And now, onto the thing that I noticed. So as I was moving it in my hands, it felt a little bit on the loose side. So I'm just imagining that it's hanging. See that? It creates a gap, which is slightly annoying. And the other thing is, when we come to the front, I give you a little bit of a shake and it just pops open. Just a little shake, which means, because when I looked at the reviews, a few people said they've stuffed like heavy things in there for gifts and stuff because the ball is sturdy. Yes, the ball is sturdy, but I'd be very careful with that latch because it doesn't really hold it in place that nicely. Like just now, it's holding perfectly fine. But if I put some gifts in there and stuff, it would just pop open very easily. But that's fine because we can always improvise. We can wrap something Christmassy around the sides there and keep it nice and tight. And that's not a bad idea. And what I'm going to do now is actually, I'm going to fill it with something cool. And there we go, everybody. Just look at this. So that is my idea of how I would use this. Now that is cool. Imagine that hanging on your tree. That is amazing. I personally love that, but obviously you can do whatever you fancy with it, but imagine that on your tree. And I did improvise, as I said. As you can see, I put a little bit of ribbon right there just to hold it together, and it works an absolute treat. So you just have to use your imagination, be creative. That's all you've got to do. And I so hope that I managed to help you out as much as I could in detail to assemble this incredible Christmas, I'm gonna call it bauble now because it's going on my tree, from Wood Trick. And please make sure you leave a like and make sure you subscribe for more awesome assembly videos. And they're also going to be obviously in step by step. And make sure you ring the bell for video notifications so you do not miss any videos like this one. And thank you so much everybody again for watching, and I shall see you all next time. Bye for now.